From Prairie Lodge, this is the Sun City Report, a program to keep you up to date on what's happening in Sun City, Huntley. Your host is your fellow Sun City resident, WGN's Orion Samuelson.
Hello again, and welcome to this edition of the Sun City Report. I'm one of your neighbors. I'm Orion Samuelson, WGN Radio and TV in Chicago, but a delighted citizen of the Sun City community. And we like to share with you throughout the year what's going on and interesting people. And we're going to meet some people today that you should know, and we're going to learn about some of the many clubs that make up the community of Sun City. We're going to talk about what's going on in Sun City with Bill Zaletti. Bill's my neighbor, but he's also the president of the Sun City Community Association. Let's talk about communications, because that's what this Sun City Report is all about. And in a community this size, a lot of people, for one reason or another, probably don't keep track of what's going on until it happens, and then they get all excited. So what can we do to improve communications?
Well, one of the things we've started this year, back in the spring, is an article called The President's Corner, which comes out of our board meetings, both the public board meetings that we have, as well as the committee of whole meetings that we hold once a month. Mm-hmm. And after those meetings, I produce a report called The President's Corner that updates the residents on what's going on from those board meetings and some strategic directions we're taking, or just trying to keep people informed. It's produced in an email format. It's distributed on the website, and we do it twice a month. I try to produce one every other week if possible.
Well, let's talk about some of the questions I have here in the community. The part of Prairie Lodge that is now in our hands, what's happening there?
Okay. What used to be called the Sales Center, or formerly the Sales Center, is now called the Fountain View Lodge. We named that just at this last board meeting. And it's being converted for resident use. All of the offices that were formerly the Pulte sales offices have been gutted, and they're refurbishing everything, and we're building a large multi-purpose room close to and similar to the size of Drendel Ballroom that can also be subdivided into 6 additional rooms. So if residents or clubs or groups or whatever want to have a small party, they can reserve one of the small rooms. If it's a large club and they need to reserve a large facility, then we can open the entire room up for that. In addition, we're moving all of our staff from all that's scattered all over the lodge right now down to that end, as well as the service desk will be moved from the center of the lodge to that end. And all of our trips in the future will come out of there.
And what's the timetable? Is it near completion?
It is. It's scheduled for November. It's a November completion date. And right now we're on schedule for completing that project.
Now let's go to the other end of Prairie Lodge. And I know Gloria and I are delighted that there is Jameson's Restaurant here. How is that doing?
Excellent, excellent. All the feedback we get from residents that I talk to is the food quality is very good. He has a price point that we were looking for in the community for the residents. George has booked, George Arsenitis runs the operation for us for Jameson's, and he's booking an awful lot of events over there for this coming holiday. You'll see weddings occurring, and all indications are he's filling the place up every day. Lunch, dinner, and the pub seems to be operating all day long when it's open from 11 o'clock in the morning or 11:30 until about 9 o'clock at night.
Bill, in the period of transition, one of the things that attracted us to Sun City was the landscaping and how beautiful it was during the growing season. And as it moved into our community, I was a little concerned that it may not stay at that level, but it has. You're doing well with it.
Yes. Well, actually, during the transition process, I was on the Transition Steering Committee. That's one of the issues that we wanted to maintain as well, and all the residents we talked to agreed that that was something that we absolutely want to maintain. As you know, Brickman is our landscape contractor, and Brickman, we think, is doing an excellent job for us. With the ash borer worm issue that we've had, they've been able to remove those trees, plant new trees in there that they are recommending to make it a seamless process. And you see very little activity going on a day-to-day basis, but at the same time, things just continue to hum along. We challenged them a couple of years ago on color. We thought that color was an issue, that we had moved away from so many annuals to perennials, that things were not as beautiful from a color point of view as we had in the past, and they're transitioning us back. Not so much from the standpoint of putting new annuals in, but the perennials they're planting now will give us color all season. So from spring, summer, and fall, you should expect to see more color than you saw in the past. So we're very happy with them.
Well, I am too. Delighted. Now, we see for sale signs in the community. Is the number for sale pretty much what we have on a yearly basis, or is it a little higher?
I would say at this time it's a little bit higher, but the sales continue, the resales of homes continue to be similar to prior years. We're seeing a much slower spring this year, but we had a nice pickup in June. I haven't seen the July numbers yet, of course, but we have seen that activity going. We're seeing some increases in delinquencies, well, not the delinquencies, but the foreclosures, and that activity is continuing, and that's not much we can do about the process. So it's not an association control process. From a delinquency standpoint, we've seen increases in those, but we've been able to manage that quite well as an association. We stay on top of those. So.
Finally, we have the opportunity to choose leadership. We have an election coming up. Talk to me about that.
Okay. Yes, we have every year we have a new board election. One year we have 4 members rotating. The other year we have 3. This year we have 3 members rotating from the board. And we will have an election that their packets were put out back in late June, picked up by various people who want to run for the board. They have to turn them in by August the 5th. And then the elections committee will make a recommendation to the board on those candidates that have completed their applications properly, as well as meet all the requirements and qualifications.
And I know there's a candidate forum coming up September 7th. I will be on hand to moderate that.
Yes, we look forward to that as usual. Okay. And we thank you for doing that for the association.
Well, Bill, we thank you and your fellow board members, because I know this is time-consuming and takes a lot of work. Thank you for volunteering your time and effort to do this. It helps make the community what it is.
Thank you, Orion. My pleasure.
Bill Zaletti, who is the, well, can't call him king, Grand Poobah, or whatever you want to, but anyway, it's the Sun City Community Association, and thanks to Bill and to his board members. I mentioned there are some people you should know, there are some clubs you should know about, so stay with us, because we'll share that information with you when we continue on this edition of the Sun City Report.
This has been the Sun City Report. Your host has been WGN's Orion Samuelson.